Alright guys, we're back for episode 4 of the Battle of Peleliu, and we are going to go over how we wired up our little secret underground trench system. Alright, so we're to the point where we had kind of the general layout of these wires and of these lights, as you can see here. So basically, the one thing that we need to make sure we nail down on the head before we basically plate this whole thing over is how these lights stay in their little designated spots and they don't protrude out so you can't see them, but the light still shines through. Like, for example, right there, we don't want it like that. We want it like flush or a little bit back. So basically, how do we keep these things from staying in there? Because, you know, as you see, I put one there. If I try to put another there, they fall out. You know, stuff happens, and if we put plates over this and one falls out, and you know, that will just look really bad because then you could see through, and there's not going to be as much light, so you're not going to have as much of an added effect. So we need to make sure that these stay where we want them. So how are we going to do that? Okay, so now that we have our little hot glue gun over here, all nice and warmed up, it's nice and warm to the touch. So basically what we're going to do, or at least try for the first time, is we're just going to take one of these lights, put a little glue around it, and actually, let's see, now that I think about that, we might put it in and put some glue on the outside. So let's see if I can do this while still giving you guys a good angle. So let's see, can I zoom in on this a little more? Let's try that. And we'll move you over. So I'm going to be doing this backlight right over there. So let's see how this goes. So I've got to make sure that it doesn't stick out on the backside. Alright. Okay. So now I'm just going to hold that. Nice thing about hot glue is it takes not as long as like just standard like glue. Super glue, I thought about using that, but hot glue is nice because it's also like it's not really permanent. You could easily just break it off. I think that's good. It's not totally hardened, but then you guys, let's see, can I zoom in for you guys? There you guys can see the glue formed a nice, almost like we're welding here. So I'm basically going to go around and do this for all of them. I'll turn the video camera on if I find anything interesting or helpful, and let's get this done. Alright guys, so you can see here I have basically taken all of these connection points here, here, there, and there. And I've just put a little bead of hot glue on each of them. And one thing I did notice is the regular Technic bricks with just the regular straight friction pit holes. Those are a lot harder. You have to hold the light in there for a lot longer. But the ones with the little plus, I don't know what you call that, plus pin, those are a lot easier. Those are almost a friction fit. So basically what I did was I took all the cables and used a whole bunch of these 1x2 bricks, and I basically just placed them. I did a lot of placing one and putting one over it to keep the wires from springing back up, because, you know, I'm going to put plates over this. So everything's somewhat organized, as you can see. Now I just got to figure out, like, do I want this to be like this battery box like right here, and we're going to have to figure out like a switch system. So let me switch it on here for you guys, and you can kind of get a good look at it. Right now it doesn't look as good because it's not covered, but once it's covered all like this, it should look pretty good. And if not, we can just, you know, turn them off and you can't really even see them. So I think that's going to turn out pretty good, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, that's pretty much it for this episode 4 of Battle of Peleliu in LEGO. Now, you might have noticed I've changed the name to Iwo Jima to Battle of Peleliu. Sorry if I'm pronouncing either of those incorrectly, but basically a lot of you guys wanted me to switch the name or the battle basically over to something else due to the sand color, which I totally understand, and I definitely think we will have just as much fun building this battle. So once again, thank you guys for watching and have a great day.